Good evening, good evening, good evening. How is everybody doing? Welcome to BeoTalk. What is it? 295.
295.
I hope everybody's doing all right. Uh, just chilling, a bit out of it. Go to Skinny Play, buy something cool for your Edge or your 8000s or your A9 or that sort of thing. Wait, all the audio is on? Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I think so. Nobody's
Sweet.
saying I'm muted.
And get your covers with 10% off, which is always nice. Um, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't yet already, but probably everybody did. Come join our Discord. We're at 960 people now. So
Yeah,
come
we're
join the
bumping it.
Discord if you want to be first with everything. Also, if you have technical questions, it's the better place to actually ask stuff than in the YouTube comments.
Indeed.
And that's about it, I guess. How was your week?
That's it. Not bad. Little interesting. Did a new display window, which is I just built another theater, so right.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess on the interesting side of things, I went and replaced a Eclipse Gen 1 C10 panel for a client
With what?
with another one, but I thought it was going to be like a straight swap, but they didn't send the TV. They just sent a panel. So I had to take all the guts out from the old one, reinstall them in all the boards. It's only two boards. Reinstall it into the new panel and put it all back together because the Eclipses are basically, I think this is one of the last ones they've got in my onion. So it's going to get tougher for the Gen 1 Eclipse owners to have their screen fixed or replaced.
Huh.
But yeah, it was overall a smooth process, fun.
Huh. Yeah, it's those darn cutouts that they essentially made. If you can suspend it up higher, it's still all works fine.
Yeah, you can put even a G3 panel on it more or less, but
It just has to like hover over it.
it just has to hover over, which, in his place was not really a chance because it was on its original Eclipse manual wall bracket. So it made it
Yeah.
easy for swapping because it just click, click, right? But yeah, it was that's basically it for the week. Played around with, we have a copious amounts of Lab 5s that are dying recently. We have, what would I call
Is
it?
everybody
Three,
partying
three
all
and
of
a
a
half
sudden,
pairs.
or?
I know it's the time that the chassis. We have three and a half pairs. We have seven speakers in a shop right now.
Huh.
Here's a weird part that me and the channel we're basically banging our head against the wall, and I cannot explain it. Uh, the speakers were connected to the core, and they just stopped working. Once you played something, one would turn on, but the other one would automatically shut itself off. So we took them, suspecting the chassis. We plug them into the core with fully seated PL cables.
Mm-hmm.
They fire up. They play no problem. But when you pause the music, there's this hiss in the tweeters,
Yeah.
audible, like it's audible. So we plug it into the 9000. The hiss is gone. The crackle's introduced in the tweeters. I'm like, what the fuck? So we took the speakers, we dollied them over to the Harmony, plugged them into the Harmony, set up through the thing, set up the speaker. No sound whatsoever. Just like no buzz, no noise, just pure sound.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck? Put it back to the core, buzzes or hisses. Sorry. Put it to the 9000. It sounds like a record player. Like at the end of the record, like the crackle, exactly the same. I couldn't. Both speakers, left and right. Doesn't matter how you switch the PL. Switch PLs from speaker to speaker, daisy chain, put together direct. Fuck, the same result. So it's son of a bitch. Let's open one of those BCCs and plug it in. So we plug it in. Well, I was playing around. I plugged it in. No buzz, no noise, just pure music. Can't explain it. And then we did the A to B because I had all this shit set up there, right? So I joined the core to the Connect core, and then I just took the power link, hot swapped it to the other one. The difference in sound was very noticeable comparatively, even like on the fives. And both speakers, when you go to connected speakers, we had set them up for BeoLab fives, right? So they show a proper icon and whatever on the app screen, but more or less that the core knows what it's connected to, right?
Yeah.
Huge difference. Also, the true image versus direct mode on the core is insanely different. It's about, I honestly would think it's almost 12 dB difference in loudness.
That's
Don't understand why.
enormous.
It's very much noticeable. So I don't know if that's just a bug or something, because with the surround and stage width, you can actually up the dB levels.
Mm-hmm.
Acoustically, it just goes louder, which it doesn't do that with the theater. It just gives you the envelopment feeling as far as the surround, right? It just gives you more of the rears, which there is no rears with the core. So I don't understand. Also, there's the bug with the microphone. It says it's on, which doesn't even have one. So, and speaking of core, I got an email. I forgot to reply. I actually had the reply, but I just never had a chance to confirm till Friday afternoon when I was in the store.
Mm-hmm.
The Beosound shape with a new core. So you do need, I reset the amp because the primary amp will turn on in white LED, and all the auxiliary amps, because we have two amplifiers in the shape, the other
Yeah.
one's going to go purple as a slave mode, right?
Yeah.
But there's no such thing anymore in a Beosound or BeoConnect core, because you're just going straight COM port into COM port to the first one. So I had reset the main amplifier, as you know, like the per video from Christian from the BNO, right, where you reset the Beosound core with the USB plugged in, and as soon as it goes purple, you pull the USB plug out of the amplifier. It stays in a slave mode per se, or secondary, whatever political correct term is now. So if you plug the BeoConnect core into it, both amplifiers are now in purple, so they're both slaves to the core, which is the brain. So you shouldn't have one going white and one purple if you have the BeoConnect core connected to it. I hope that answers the question from the email that I got, like I said, last Monday, I think it was. So yeah, that's about it for the findings. And yeah, a little bit quirky with the lab fives. And I'm just wondering if there's gonna be enough chassis now available. Another thing that's really dying lately are BeoPlay SH and BeoLab 14.5 or 14.4, whatever, the subwoofers, the chassis in them.
The 11s are still rocking.
The 11s are rocking, but they have parts for them, and I'm actually very much not debating. I'm going to do it this week. I'm going to order me a spare amplifier for the BeoLab 11, because the one I have, I bought from a gentleman that basically had it in the gym connected to the Beosound A5 Encore, the best system B&O's ever produced, and it's never been used. It's set in a standby mode for more or less 11 years till I bought it. So the amp doesn't really have many hours on it, I'm certain of it, but it's got age. So I'm going to buy another one just to sit on. And also, if anybody is considering to do that for a backup, also order a gasket kit, which is a big gasket that you need to replace all around the perimeter of the shell when you open it, because otherwise the compression on the old gasket after all these years, it's so much that the speaker will leak air and it sounds like it's farting.
Yeah.
Like distorting. So that's it. So yeah,
Yeah, there's some
I like my BeoLab 11.
there's some strange things going on with software updates and things.
I had my theater randomly reboot yesterday after I'd selected Deezer to play on it.
Hmm. Yeah, I got no sound at all when I started to watch something. Was it 2 days ago?
What?
Yeah, I mean, switching listening position fortunately fixed it, but like in the standard surround sound setup, it wouldn't play anything from any source.
One of our clients just returned back from China. Doesn't matter. He was gone for 2 months.
Yeah.
So he came back home, and then I know he called me and he's like, "Listen, Willie, I don't know what the fuck happened, but when I opened the app in the theater, it basically is in out of the box factory mode. It those icons that says connect your speakers, connect your remote, connect your TV, connect what else is there? This listening, set up your listening positions, all four. I'm like, what in the hell? But it's like on the remote, it shows it's normal. So I'm like, you know what? Just restart the app, reboot the theater. It should come back on, and it did. So it's just some strange nonsense coming on. And there was another huge update on the LG screens.
Yeah, I dared do that, so maybe that was contributing. I don't know.
I don't know. I did that. I haven't really had any problems when it comes to crashing, other than weirdly enough yesterday when I selected Deezer. I don't know, it was like 8, 9 o'clock at night, just to listen to music, obviously, and all of a sudden, boom! Just looking at what the fuck is rebooting. So I'm like, oh sweet. Since it did that, I cleaned the glass on the touch panel because it doesn't react to anything when it's rebooting. But yeah, weird. I haven't come across any weird quirks and bugs, even with the new software update to the TV. It's fine so far. Knock on wood.
It must be something. Sandeep had the same with the app, essentially. It must be where it's just not loading right, or maybe it's the new version of the app not reading whatever the product is saying correctly, or something like that.
Yeah, but if it didn't, then wouldn't it just say offline if it can't read out of it? Or is it just a bug that it shows it online in a default mode? It's really bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know. Alex says, did you see BNO special offer buy BeoLab 18 and get a 19 and a BeoSound Core for free? BeoLab 18's end of life. I did see the offer. If anything that's end of life, it's the core that you get. It's the old core.
That's
and
right. They're pushing
potentially
that
the
out.
19.
I really think the 19 is coming to the end of the railroad.
I don't think the 18s will go anytime soon.
No, they're still too popular, man.
I mean, people still buy them over 8s.
Yep, just for the look.
Yeah.
Because they do look beautiful. You can't deny that. They do look beautiful.
I mean, speaking of old things that are apparently out and or leaked or whatever, I can only assume this is okay to show because the official BNO Instagram channel liked the picture.
Mm.
But these are 28s we've never seen before, and this is a 9000 that doesn't exist
We have
like
seen
this.
before, but not like that.
Yeah. And also the CDs in there I don't recognize from anything.
Are there
I have a feeling those are new CDs. Just like they did with the 4000C, right?
oh yeah, they put a little bit of collection in there or whatever.
Yeah.
They picked out all the good songs that the 28 sounds okay on.
Yeah, nothing too
Probably.
bass heavy.
It's just loaded with classical music. Let's see.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, in the original one, the panel opening should be about here. And I don't see it. It could be lower, but that flap is not enormous. It's like a third.
What?
The little opening for the control panel.
No, that's the same. Yeah, they haven't changed any of that. They just is it aluminium or white painted?
It
It
looks
looks
like
like
aluminium.
Yeah, I think it's aluminium curtains. That's pretty cool. I dig that. I really dig that.
I mean, also the wall behind it, right, with the text on it. Yeah, that's a new product display. You don't do that for something this old.
No. I wonder what they changed or what they gutted out of it. It's probably got a new BeoConnect core in it as a platform. Definitely, it's gonna go on the. It's gonna run on the freaking Mozart.
One would think so. I don't see why it wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't really. I'm still waiting for the specs on it because I haven't seen. I honestly have not seen the specs on this thing. To what's
Well,
it's
that's
capable of.
one thing that's very B&O-ish, right? So even if I said, oh, I knew everything about it, I've had several times before where the actual pre-launch spec sheet changed
We're
on launch
different.
day,
Yes.
which is weird because nothing actually really changes, but like the frequency response and stuff sometimes changes in software and things like that. Or things aren't added, or like they give too much of a fuss, so they don't activate them or deactivate them, essentially.
My question would be, if you took the original 9000 side by side to this one, and you pulled SPDIF out of it from reading the discs, right,
Mm-hmm.
and put it into the USB-C of a core connect, would they sound the same?
Probably pretty similar, yeah.
Right?
I don't see how you can get more digital than SPDIF versus whatever this is going to be. Like, you're not adding bits or anything. You're still like,
I think that's how they're getting the information into it, because how else would you redesign that? Like, they're not going to play with anything mechanical inside it. And the only place, in my opinion, that they have room to play with is the input mastering board, because that's, fair size compared to what the new electronics require for a room. So, and the only way that they can harvest signal out of it is either they're going to, I don't think it makes sense to go analog, utilizing the DAC from the 1994 or 96, right? And I don't know,
no.
like, would this still have an AM/FM radio in it, or would that module be also gone to sacrifice for more board space, because you're gonna have
Well, you're gonna
Bang&
just have,
Olufsen radio on it?
yeah. Like, I don't think you're gonna have FM,
What
unless
is the
they.
display gonna show? Is it gonna show metadata? Is it just gonna what is it gonna show?
Well, that's, if I remember right on mine. Like, I'm not sure that the display is there anymore. Like, this may be one piece, right? Because if I remember right, somewhere around the third CD was where that cut was for to open it, and there's
Yeah, you
nothing.
can't see it on this picture.
Yeah.
I can't see it on this picture.
So it leaves us with enough questions, but this may just now be one piece aluminium. Because the setup may just all be in the app, right?
Could be. I wonder where they put the goddamn antennas, man. Because it's all metal. The whole thing is metal, right? Like, there's really not much play to play. No pun intended for let me see this here.
The cut is halfway, yeah, but still, we see the bottom of the third CD here, and no.
It's a little lower than that. Let's see if I can find this thing here. Also, end of life for Beosound Balance Aluminium or Natural. It's going away.
Huh.
Yeah, there is a slip. There is a slip between them. They're separated. I see it on our confidential thing here now. But I guess she's not that confidential no more.
Well, that's the only thing I can assume, right? Because, like, literally right here, the top heart is from Bang & Olufsen's official account.
Yeah.
Like, and if we're somehow not supposed to show this, then that's on you, because how does the left hand not know what the right hand is doing and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you may not know the specs, but surely you would know, like, oh, this is not ready for publication yet. Especially if you're in the publication side of things.
Like you're the one responsible for releasing it. But then again, I guess, is it one of those smart leaks from B&O again that they kind of,
Well, I wouldn't be opposed to them doing that more.
So yeah, I don't know who that person is in the Instagram photo. Probably some sort of famous Asian
Yeah,
artist.
it's. I think she's a model or something. Nana Young. I'm butchering the name. Sorry, Miss So Young.
I'm sure she's watching us.
Hello.
But yeah, I'm very curious. I'm
How
also
was the
curious if it's gonna
sibilance,
be
Miss Nana?
very. I'm also curious if it's gonna be PowerLink or are they gonna. I don't think they're gonna throw in a WISA module inside the 9000 there or 9000C, whatever it's called. That's another. I think it's gonna be PL connection to it, which kind
Must
of then
be.
makes.
Are you gonna enjoy if you sell a few of these getting Ethernet cables out of that thing once it's on the wall? Because that's gonna
Oh
be even harder
God.
than PowerLink cables.
Oh God. I hope they don't put them where the FM antenna was. God, yeah, that's not gonna be fun to plug in. We'll see. I don't know. They must have redone something on the back of it for sure to accommodate whatever the new platform, which is Mozart, that's gonna be running on. I'm 100% sure. Or they're gonna do something goofy like they did the Titanium edition with the 4000C and the Halo and a transmitter one and a core inside the wooden cabinet that costs more than the speakers on their own or everything else combined together.
Yeah, the cabinet was like 12 grand or something, if I'm not
No,
mistaken.
it was. I think it was close to 35 Canadian because the whole thing was 70 something thousand dollars. I think it was 75 or $72,000 just to commemorate the 72 number in it.
Oh, she's a musician, cellist, and actress.
There we go.
Is she
Thank
in
you,
anything
Sandy.
we know of?
The only place I would have seen her were like Jackie Chan movies, but I don't watch those anymore, so I don't know.
It's kind of an odd combination of being a professional musician and an actress.
Maybe she's acting, playing music.
Then again, I guess the saying may be right, right? Right?
Yeah.
If you think you're good at anything, there's always an Asian better than you. I mean,
But
here we
yeah,
just have actors, right? In China, they have actors that are go like, "Oh, cello."
but yeah, I don't know. I don't even think we're gonna see one in our shop as far as that whole package is concerned. I wonder if the boxes are gonna be any different or more special
I
than.
think they're gonna make new boxes. They're gonna have to.
Mhm.
You don't want to trust what 30-year-old cardboard.
I wonder if they're gonna make them out of wood for the 9000, like they did for the Biogram.
Probably.
Be a big fuck off wooden box.
Well, it adds to the occasion, right?
Of course. Well, for the price tag that they're gonna be asking for it, I'm sure they're gonna make something fancy. Or
I
I
mean,
hope.
even if you get like grade one plywood, it's gonna be. It's not that expensive, but it's so much nicer.
Hmm.
And
No, I think it's gonna be oak again.
yeah, even with wood, you can keep on saying like your circular ecology, economy, whatever the hell, is still valid.
I would convert that thing to a humidor after the 9000 is out of that box. That's what I would do. If it's gonna come in I hope it does come in a nice wood box and like a beautiful presentation because it deserves that.
It does look like the glass is clear and the aluminium plate behind it is now a sort of
Anthracite,
black.
probably.
Yeah,
I would guess it's anthracite.
I do like that look. I mean,
I do too.
the smoke on the original glass worked with the original one.
I wish that they did more color schemes back in the yesteryears of the 9000 instead of just having it one color fits all. Like I wish they did a black one because I know there was like a couple limited edition, one or 15 or 1500 limited edition series that were white with the white LED displays and so on. But yeah, I wish they did more colors. I kind of wish I could order those panels for the 9000 as spare parts if I could. Put them on mine in
Well,
silver.
if the lamellas are anything to go by of the past 28s, you can probably buy the aluminium lamellas after this is launched. I mean, it's going to be ridiculously expensive, but they're probably going to be
Mhm.
there as a spare part.
Or a bespoke that you can order them for sure,
Well,
as
was it
usual.
the original launch edition 28s had their own color lamellas too, and you can get those as spare parts, but those were only meant to be for the original 28s.
I
The
think they were
launch edition.
walnut, the anthracite and walnut, right?
I forget what it was. I think
I think it was the walnut ones because
or
they're
was
not available. Walnut ones. I think it's just bespoke.
because the initial like the first uh, or the launch edition 28 also had an engraving. I think it was one of 28 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Because I remember people getting invites and asking, "Is this invite public?" and then saying yes, and then it was no, and then shit ensued, and everybody knew again months ahead of time.
as usual. Being so good in keeping secrets. So yeah, I'm really wondering what the specs are gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of sound, it's going to sound like 28s because there's not really anything you can do about that. That's neither here nor there. You just have to like 28s, and I personally like the 28s if you take some bass out.
Mm,
I mean, if this goes the way of the 4000C, though, most likely they're gonna within a week or two gonna make special edition 50s for this too, because that's what they did with the 4000C too.
mm,
Because they also they sort of did that with 28s, right? But then you got the titanium 18s to go with it, and you got special 50s to go with it, because some people just in this price category go, yeah, I know it's 70 grand, but I don't want 28. I want something better.
mm.
Oh, Sandeep says you can choose 50s with this new 9000, I'm told. I wasn't told anything. I was just speculating on past performance.
Hmm. Interesting.
I mean, most likely,
Interesting.
if you ask and if you're in the market for this thing, they'll make you bespoke 90 as well.
Mm. Pearl blasted like the silk finish from the 90s would be nice for the crowns. Those would look cool.
Yeah, 50s to match this sort of aluminium color that's not shiny would potentially be quite nice too.
Mm.
Or like a silk 50.
Yeah, silk 50s would look sick, man.
I mean, I'll get my pole blaster out and.
Oh God, might as well try on that one piece you got now as a spare that was dented in transport.
I have two pieces now.
Oh God, what happened?
Well, the initial one was lost, and then we got that replaced by insurance. And then, like, 4 months later, as in like 2 weeks ago or something, I got the original one that was sent. They found it again.
What? What the fuck?
I don't know why they still delivered it, but so I have an extra strip now.
Nice. But yeah, silk 50s I think would look splendid. They would look like they're frosted, more or less like a cold can of beer.
Yeah,
I think that would look sweet. But yeah,
I mean, I like the titanium 50s. I like the original 50s, obviously. Silk 50s would be really something else.
even silk 18s would be sweet if they did
Yes.
that.
I like the. I still very much like those titanium 18s, those 4000C edition, whatever. They're ridiculously expensive compared to the regular ones.
Well, yeah, those are the titanium finish.
Yeah.
Those were cool looking.
I mean, God, what were you paying? Like $18,000 or something?
Which is retail now.
12 or 13?
Yeah, I guess in Canadian, I think they're 17 something now.
Yeah, so they're probably like 23, 24 grand Canadian for the titanium ones.
Probably.
Which is ridiculous for 18s.
Yeah, but then you can say the same thing about the Beosound 2 Ferrari or the Atelier edition, whatever, which is like,
Yeah, but you can get two of those in a special color
$3,000
for the
premium.
less of the original 18s.
Yeah, 18s are still 14,450 Canadian. No, shit. It's 14,450 on the splash page, but 16,650 on the actual page.
Maybe it's because there's oak on it and you have a stand.
No. Oh my god. And then brownstone with walnut are 18,700. And the cheapest ones are black anthracite or aluminium black with plastic black covers. Those are 14,450. But regular aluminium with oak is 16,650. Trudeau's funny money, which is a lot.
Yeah, that's not normal. It shouldn't be
Yeah.
that much. But nice that it's out. So I'm guessing launch is imminent.
Soon enough, I think. I don't know exactly when are they talking about launching this, but obviously, if it already made it out on the Instagram and it's out in real life, then I think it's gonna be.
Well, this looks like some sort of show to gain interest in China.
We are 3 days from the launch, so Wednesday this week. Global announcement.
Yeah, and it's what, probably 50,000 US or something like that at least.
The price of it?
If not 70. Yeah, that don't say, because it's probably not, you're not supposed to, even if you have it, but it's going to be ridiculously expensive.
Well, I would guess a 50 grand, if not more.
Yeah. Yes,
So,
I mean, you can ask your dealer on the lower side, like, hey, what's this? And your dealer will go, oh, this is a lot of money. It's
yeah.
X number of tens of thousands.
Yeah. I wonder if it's going to have any effect on the actual 9,000 secondhand market pricing.
Yes, it will, because the 4000C made the 4002, 4004 market insane.
It doubled in price at least?
10x it's in certain circumstances.
No shit.
In the Netherlands, you could buy, like 6 months before the 4000C sold, you could buy a 4002, 4004, some 4000s for anywhere between 200 and 600 euro in decent shape. All of them. Like even the 250-ish dollar would play just fine. Maybe it was just a shitty stylus or something like that, right? And it needed some love and attention.
Yeah.
4000C came, that went to 1,000, 2,000.
No way.
It was ridiculous. Same here in the US. Like, you cannot find a 4000 for under $1,200 essentially now, unless it's spare parts one.
Maybe I'll decide to sell my 9,000 at the end of the day, because I have it with the original box, a mint condition box. I have the wall bracket, the floor stand. I have the vertical and horizontal wall bracket, and I have a spare laser mechanism. And the spare laser nowadays, it's probably on its own value pretty good, because people that have 9,000s want to keep them going. But I'm talking shit. There's no way I'm ever going to get rid of the 9,000. I have too many CDs from my youth that I still want to listen to. And it's a piece of history of B&O. Like, you can't deny that. It's just the same icon as the fives or that system altogether. Which I'm kind of surprised that they didn't do the when they did the trade-in program for the fives. They didn't release the fives with the 9,000. Like that would have been a sick uh, system.
May still come. Maybe like the
Other limited edition now.
the Century Edition or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who knows? It may be gold or rose gold again, or
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the only thing that could potentially make me drool a bit if they redo the BeoLab fives in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm. For
Because
me, I one thing that like this 9,000 thing, it's a little bit puzzling to me, but it's also I think more or less almost a feels bad for a lot of BNO people because people that naturally had progressed through the BNO's portfolio and they migrated at the time of 9,000 being super cool, they would have moved on to a Beosound 5 with the CD ripper, ripped all their discs, and in many cases I had clients that gotten rid of the physical CDs after they had ripped them all to the Beosound 5. So if you want to buy that, now you have to rebuy your CD collection again because what are you gonna put in there?
well, at least your CD collection now is $5 or something.
True enough. Can you even get like burnable discs still? I don't even remember if it's
Oh yeah,
seen it.
yeah,
And
yeah. But
yeah,
you
you can
you
still.
you don't buy them per like one or whatever. You now have to
No,
buy
it's
them
like a
per
spindle
hundred.
of 100. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's here you go, piss off. So yeah, I find it very interesting that they're. It's also cool that the 28s are just as tall as the 9,000 on the floor stand, but it's not the original floor stand from what I can see on pictures that you can't see.
Or maybe they
So
change the mechanism or the hanging bracket or something like that. That's probably one of the hardest things to find unmolested, right? The brackets and stuff like that.
yeah.
Because I mean, most of the time you don't care if you have secondhand products, and I know my bracket was I got it for super cheap because my dealer did me a solid because it was really mangled up, and he was sort of
Hmm.
like, I can't even resell this,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, structurally it's fine. I'll just stick sandpaper to it to get like all the massive gouges out.
Hmm.
But you're never going to see it. But you can't do that with something that's expensive, right?
No.
And also to
No.
make new brackets that are like 5 mil thick aluminium, it's maybe not the best idea in current pricing for aluminium.
Well, I'm sure that they probably are reusing the same bracket structure that they used to, that it was there for uh, what's it called?
For the
For the
Forster.
old 9,000.
Yeah. Apparently, Brendan wants to buy your 9,000.
On Twitch, because I don't see the
Yeah.
comment.
Generic Enthusiast wants to buy my 19. I first still have to what you call it, scheme and plan things and go and see if I maybe can get a theater in that bedroom. Because if so, I'm keeping my 19.
I think you should. I think it's a great idea, man. Theater all the way, bro. Where are you gonna put the stage? I don't know.
Here, the computer
Back.
speakers.
Oh yeah, it's like the most OP computer speaker ever.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I
Oh yeah.
mean, I
Well,
could
better
even
than
hang it
BeoSound
on the
too.
wall up there and just have it upside down pointing at me.
I wonder how that would work actually. I think it would be fine. You'd have to somehow change the left and right input because it would be reversed, right? Right would
Yeah.
be on left and left would be on the right. But yeah, I agree. I support the BeoSound theater in the bedroom. Can't go wrong with that, bro. I think they should also make aluminium lamellas grill for the BeoSound theater. That would look sick. be expensive, but whatever. It all is expensive at the end. But you only buy it once, really, in
But if they
theory.
were to really sell something like that, what would you go 3 grand for that?
I was gonna say that will be about 3 Gs for that goofy grill.
But would you pay it?
Yeah, because you only paid once.
Oh, okay.
And then we walk around it and hate on it for a while. Motherfucker, it was expensive. But I would have taken the cut, you know what I mean? I would have taken the cut and watch it heal
Well, what
over
if it's
time.
3 grand USD and not 3 grand
Well, that's a different
Canadian?
story. That's a little different. Because we're already creeping to what is the freaking the walnut grill is like 2,100. So put another 9 hundos of monopoly money on it to make it 3 Gs for the aluminium. I don't think it's that far fetched of what the cost would be to produce these things, because I'm sure that it's a little more involved, like, especially polishing those things would be a bitch, because you'd have to make a jig that, I don't know if you do them in a row, or I don't know how you would polish all them, because there's 74 of these things per grill. So high net worth Willie, yeah, that's right. Just save up all my freaking recyclable bottles and go buy me a grill. But yeah, I would appreciate that. I don't know how it would look. I think it would look too much though. The aluminium. I think the black anthracite you could get away with in aluminium finish on the black anthracite theater. But if you think you go silver to silver, it's probably gonna look like one of those, the grills on like the Jaguars. It looks
I
like
have a feeling
freaking
that's kind of why they didn't do it.
the beaver teeth.
Well, one of the things is if you make it one type of aluminium, you have to make it for all available types of aluminium. You probably are going to have to make at least 50 gold ones too for the people that have the gold version, right?
I think it would go good with gold because it's already obnoxious to begin with. But just slap the gold on the front too, bro. Call it ace. Why not?
But also, would they go for slats like that? Because
Probably. Why not keep it with the same like design language?
hmm, hmm,
Mhm.
hmm.
But in any case, I think the first thing they should do in order on the list is to introduce a cleaning mode button for the Mozart platform speakers. Please do that. Please disable the bloody things because it's just
We don't have to
uh,
want to bank on like reboots and stuff to clean stuff.
well, that, and also the problem is like in some cases when the speakers are wall mounted, right? The plugs are more or less hidden in the wall, and within the reason you would have to take off the fucking thing off the wall in order to unplug it, right? So you can safely deal with it. Like Beolab 28s, Beolab 8s, those are terrible, especially when they're on the wall brackets up top.
The
Because even
28s,
if
regardless, you're not going to get the power plug out the back.
no way in hell.
It's like
That's
my fingers don't fit in that groove. Like I had to literally use pliers to put the power socket in the back of the 28s.
yeah, it is very thin. I'm
Like I
actually
have big
wondering.
hands, but literally like this, like holding it like this was too much. It's too wide, right?
I'm wondering how that's gonna work out for mounting them on the wall bracket because we have a job with the wall bracket. So to plug them in, it's gonna be interesting too
If you
from the
can at all,
backside.
you're probably gonna have to wire the power cord before you like get the whole thing situated.
Well, yeah, we have the power's gonna come in where the subwoofer is gonna be mounted around the ring, right? Because
Hmm.
there's the provisions. Like I had the templates on. It's all pre-wired now,
No, but
but
I
I'm
mean,
just
once you have
curious.
the top pole, for lack of a better, like
Mhm.
when you have that in your hand, just lay it flat and put the power in, and then wire and pull it through before you like mount it on there and screw it down.
You would have to actually have it in hand and the cable already pulled through the spine, so you can plug it in and then just slip it
Yes,
on those two screws. Because there's no way it's too close to the wall to like put your hand behind it, in my opinion. I haven't done them on the wall brackets, but
Yeah.
looking at the videos and
Or you're
such.
gonna need needle nose pliers that are on a 90-degree angle.
Oh yeah, good luck.
That are like sort of this
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah. I don't even know. Milwaukee doesn't make those, so I don't have that. But I got like little prying rods or the hooks and shit. I'm not worried about plugging them in, but yeah, that's a it's once they're plugged in, and if you need to power cycle them per se or any of that nonsense and cleaning, but cleaning mode I think should be present on the current, even on the emerge, because if you want to wipe the dust off the top of it, you are gonna end up with either one of the my buttons being triggered. It depends which way you go, right? But
Hmm.
either way, you're gonna start something and pause it at the end because you're gonna hit the play button. But I think there should be a mode that disables the bloody thing. In my opinion, the theater shouldn't need, like I like keep the BNO logo lit up, but turn off the fucking buttons. Like I just want, if I could just disable the touch panel, because I never touch it. And it's not that I don't touch it for the I don't touch it for one simple reason. There is no reason for me to touch it to begin with. And if I do, then no matter how clean your hands are, you always leave a little fingerprint on the whatever button you touched, and I hate that shit. So I don't touch that at all.
I would love it because my cats sit on my theater sometimes.
Hmm.
Especially if there's any sort of bird on TV. They go, ooh, that must be real because it sounds real to them.
They jump on it, yeah. But that's one thing that I wish that was considered to be done.
I mean, it's only a matter of time before one of my cats resets the theater.
Oh, that's gonna be a feels bad, dude.
Yeah. But
'Cause you gotta
it's kind of
do,
silly that you can from the touch panel, right? Like that you can't
yes,
deactivate that.
yeah, that's not good. That's definitely not good.
I mean, in that
But
sense, the harmony is just a better layout, a better like. There's no reason as such to
well, there's
have.
only two buttons on the Harmony, raise up and raise down on the back of the control
Yeah,
panel.
yeah, but it's
There's
hard to
no
get to.
physical buttons. Oh no, especially when it's on the wall, you're hooked.
Yeah, I mean, especially if we're now if it's an integrated setup, we're referring to it as a BioVision theater. There is really no use for those buttons to be live all the time.
No,
Like,
or
just
there
give
should be an option, but like
just give me a
even
toggle
given the
button.
survey, I don't know if they can monitor, but I'm sure they can survey the amount of button presses on the theater if they wanted to monitor that, and I guarantee you 100% nobody touches it. Nobody
No,
touches it. Run a poll. How many people operate hands-on theater from whoever owns the theater?
it seems the people are still most excited for new things, not so much redone older stuff.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna
Finish
uh,
the poll. Start a new poll. Yeah. See Sunday things exactly zero, zero button presses. If you got to be a remote one for all that nonsense, or a Halo, if you're lucky enough to have one and use it for theater, which is crazy. I also think they should introduce the in-app remote for the Beosound theater. It's been we're pulling almost on 2 years, guys. There's no way it's not possible. There is no way. We need to get that. That's all there's to that. So, but yeah, I don't know how much or how like how to more beg for it, but that's one thing that it should be looked at. Cleaning mode or disabled touch interface temporarily, or on theater I would say permanently disabled touch.
yeah, and if you want to get really fancy, give me a timer with it, as in that you can set, or like a day timer or something. Because I bet you if you have smaller children and it's on a floor stand, it's also annoying.
Well, yeah, because it's lights come up, right? Ooh, what is that? Little fingers push buttons.
Well, even if it's just like going up on the TV, and or that's
Hmm.
mean, like I said, my cats think like your audio is so good that my cats think birds on TV are real birds in the house. So therefore, my cats sit on your stuff and push buttons.
Now, you have a very unique case though, but yeah, like what do? You put a tinfoil on top of it for you?
I've quite honestly, at this point, started thinking of like cutting out some plexiglass or something and just laying it on top, right? Like cutting it out in the same
Fashion as
dimensions.
the as the glasses.
Yeah, just lay it on top because you have that rubber sort of thing in the middle where you can lay it and they can sit on it and not like make it all move and stuff.
Hmm.
Use some double-sided tape or something.
Fucking ghetto fabulous. But what can you do? Literally, what can you do?
I mean, I've come home to my TV not working because a cat sat on there and like held buttons down too long, or like turned the Bluetooth fully off or something.
Oh my god, that's funny, but not like I would be pissed.
so
I'd be more pissed that they turn on the my button and then like lean on the volume and shit, and all of a sudden you got 50s, two pairs pumping plus 17s, whatever.
I have come back to music being on all of a sudden, yes, but fortunately it wasn't that loud.
Hmm. I would, yeah, I guess the only way that you could, now thinking like a smart home type, bio living intelligence, I would have it monitor the status of the thermostat, that if it's in an eco mode, after 2 minutes, shut off the system, or 5 minutes, shut off the system. So when you're gone from the house and it's in eco mode and the cats turn it on, it'll only be gone for 5 minutes before the system check goes, okay, no, it needs to be all standby again. That would be the only way. Or put fucking tinfoil on the bloody theater so they get scared and freak out. So
Yeah. Uh, Lucas asked, guys, what's your thought on the Beosound A5? I have one. I love mine. It's very good.
it's a great product. It's a great successor to the Biolit series, where I think that they finally are reaching the end of life. I hope they do, because Biolit 20 now makes zero sense, especially if you have A5 with the network link compatibility Mozart platform.
I
Does the
mean,
same thing for charging and so on. So, and stereo pairing.
I
It
mean,
just makes more sense.
I have the spaced aluminium one, but weirdly, I've started to get really fond of the Nordic weave.
Hmm.
I don't know why, but it's really grown on me.
Interesting.
And maybe it's because I already have so many aluminium things everywhere.
I wish that they did the walnut instead of just dark oak or smoked oak or dark oak. Yeah, it's dark oak for the black one. I really would like that they would do a walnut edition on it too. I think that's what I would consider buying one. I have no, I have absolutely no need for one. I have a level that is in the box. I was gonna take it out yesterday to the park because it was the 420, so we went to see like all the stoners and participate in an activity. And I had never seen so much smoke in my life, bro. It was insane. But yeah, I was gonna bring music, but it was music, everything, like all the hippies and people climbing statues and fucked up. It was an event for sure. But yeah, I usually just I don't really have a place for the level. I'd rather take out the burger or the explorer for I more or less use the burger or the A1 cleaning the car in the garage.
Since I bought an A5, I haven't touched a burger at all.
Yeah, that's just it just makes no you know I guess it's good when you travel out somewhere so you don't have to haul an A5, but you take a burger with you instead. But I would still take the A5 over that, because once you get to the hotel or whatnot, you have nicer music or nicer sound, and you also have a device that'll charge your phone. So if you have You can set up the wake up timers, which you can't necessarily do on the burger unless you have it plugged in into USB-C, so then it doesn't turn off. But I still think that after maybe 15 minutes, it goes to standby when then there's no activity on it. I haven't really tested that because I never have the A1 plugged in and turned on just for the sake of having it turned on.
Yeah,
So
it goes off after 15 or something like that.
yeah.
I mean, if I was Henrik, right, I would have put in like celestials or something outside for with my pool and barbecue area and that sort of thing. But like, actually, I don't feel like spending a fortune on that. Plus, I need another core and that sort of thing. And then how do you tell anybody how to use it? Because it requires its own weird. Because they don't see any interaction panel or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's probably just a remote, and people start waving it around because they don't know where it is. So I just thought, okay, I'll just buy an A5. It's probably good enough, and indeed, it's very much good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And been using it pretty much continuously the last 3 days outside. Does an
Especially
excellent,
for the outside.
yeah. I mean, also it's quite toasty here at the moment.
Do you have it in the? You don't have it really in the direct sun, I don't think.
No.
Yeah. But the spaced aluminum would definitely help reflect in the heat more than, let's say, dark oak edition.
But you also don't have to go at, like, in terms of, like, you don't have to drive it hard for it to be audible.
No.
Like, 30% volume is, for ambient music, pretty good. Like, 50% is pretty loud on this thing.
Well, that's when you start reaching for it to turn it down when you're talking.
Yeah.
Because it just gets, it's starting to take over the conversation. But yeah, no, it's a great product. I like the direction they had taken with it as far as the, the revamp or a new look on a Beolit series, I guess, because that's going to go away for sure.
I mean, what I also like is just this compared to the Beolits is network connected.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's network link and everything.
You can tie it into all your other B&O stuff, but also you can just, you're not Bluetoothing. I mean, you can, but you don't have to. But if there's something I absolutely hate doing is Bluetoothing to speakers, because essentially it borks your phone.
Well, it's like all the bloody notifications come through the music and whatever. It depends how popular they are with their messages and whatnot. But
well, then you're dependent on how long your phone can keep its charge, right?
Yes.
Which, like, my phone is what, 4 years old now. It's not that good at keeping a charge anymore.
No.
And so this thing will just do its own thing, and I have a bunch of radio stations, and these are under the my buttons, and it just goes. It's fine.
Yeah.
Also, if somebody calls or whatever with Bluetooth, yeah, it's like the music stops, right, for everybody.
That's it. Yeah. The burger is nice for that because you can really use it as a decent speakerphone. But other than that, like I try to stay away from, like, even if we go to park, like last year we hung out in the parks, I would put my phone in don't disturb mode and play music through it that way. So then no notifications and shit comes through. It's just a music player. But now with the S24 Ultra, man, like, I got spoiled by that big brick phone, right? With the battery, 13,000 milliamp hour battery, like, it lasts a week. Now I really have to charge the phone every night, especially, if I work somewhere that is 2-3 hours out of the city. It's hour and a half GPS there, hour and a half GPS back, screen on all the time. It does eat through the battery quick. And then once you get to the client's house, setting up all the B&O, so I'm always on the phone more or less if I'm done installing things.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have it set on the wall mount mode or whatever. So if I have the B&O app open, the screen does not shut off. And I like it that way, especially like the first thing you do when you unpack a product, you plug it in and you start setting it up, it starts downloading software, right? And I just like to have the app running while it's doing that. even though it's self-automated, does it on its own within itself. But I still like to see the progress or whatever. And with the stages, it just finishes, the product reboots, but it's still saying it's restarting. You have to shut the app off and restart it again. So there's still glitches, but I just keep it on. So
Pulses, I use my A5s with Bluetooth using my I mean, you can. That's what's nice about it, right? Like you can if you like Bluetooth.
you have the freedom and option
yeah.
to it, but
Like that. But that's the nice thing about the A5. It's the first product that's essentially a Beolit that does it all.
yes. I'm gonna make me another coffee. Yeah, the A5 was a nice addition to the portfolio, I must say.
So yeah, I like it all the way around. I think the price is quite strong. There's no way now I would buy a level over an A5 because they're essentially the same price.
I think the level has its days counted, in my opinion. I don't know how much better they can do that. There's a black anthracite level now available as well, apparently.
Okay.
But I don't know if it's on the website, but I saw it in the orders the other day that you can buy a black anthracite. Sorry about the compressor. So I'm quite interested in that, but at the end of the day,
there's also a lilac twilight.
Yeah, that one's kind of, very Karen, I would say.
So the gold tone is $500 more than the aluminium A5, and the regular one is $200 more than the aluminium A5. So it's $700 US more than the base A5. Like there's no competition. Like unless you are really struck for space. Like, and I still like the level, right? But it just doesn't make sense.
The only thing that sets the level apart, in my opinion, is the premium user interface, the glass button on the top. That's the only thing that it really has going for itself, and a good stereo imaging compared to the A5, because it's basically a miniaturized Beosound 1 from 24 years ago, where it had 5 drivers. Remember the CD player? It has 5 drivers in it. It sounds great, not too loud. It's very sleek and slender. Not something you can sit upright on the ground. If you're picnicking, you have to lay it down. So A5's got that going for itself. I don't think that the level was really meant to be an outdoorsy product whatsoever, even though it is IP65 rated. I think that the days are very much numbered for this. This turned out to be a modern equivalent to a Beosound Edge, which was a cool concept with the patented vented base port. But at the end of the day, it was the placement issue for that product that made it undesirable, I would say. And with the level, it's not that the product is undesirable; it just makes no sense comparatively to the basket, to the A5.
No, if I had one, I wouldn't get rid of it. That's not at all what I'm saying, right? But it's I would probably get a wall mount thing for it, which is not the greatest wall mount, and just leave it in its place. Because yes, it's portable, but I would never use it for its portability anymore. I like it for its kind of sleekness and thinness. But even if you have a marginally wobbly table, if you have it upright, like
it's coming over, it's toppling over for sure. But yeah, I would still like to get a walnut grill for the level on mine, because I don't think I'll sell it. If anything, I might send it to my sister for her birthday.
Lucky sister.
Why not? Well, I look at it this way: like you either sell it or you give it to someone in the family. But I just don't. I'm done with sitting on shit just for the sake of being able to say that I have it, and not having it used. I find more joy now watching people enjoy the products that once were mine, or I gave them up or whatever. It's the same like with my girlfriend. I gave her the V1. Fuck, I don't really care for it. You know, it's sitting in the storage locker, not being used. Take it,
Yeah.
take it and like it.
KCBR says, how does the level sound compared to the A5? I have a bathroom without a speaker. The level sounds quite good for what it is. It's not very bass heavy, obviously. I would say it sounds a bit like a Beolab 4000.
Hmm.
Which is like, if you like that, then it's good.
It's cleaner than a 4000, but about the same pressure level, I would say. Yes.
I mean, if you can hang it on a wall, like that's another thing, right? If you are short on like space for stuff to sit, you can hang it on a wall, which you can't do with an A5. I mean, I guess you
Hmm.
can, but it's going to be very janky where you hang it on the
Yeah,
handle.
it's gonna look silly. You might as well just buy a little shelf and put it on the shelf in that
Yeah,
room because it's gonna look goofy. But yeah, that's the one thing that Level has for itself: the slim profile. They both have to be plugged in order for you to be utilizing them on daily basis without interference. Just like Sandeep found out because he had the Level in the bathroom, but if it's on the battery after 15 minutes it goes off, or 20 minutes I believe, something like that.
yeah.
So it's not something that is viable to have, you know, part of your automation even, or have it, you know, unless it's plugged in and fully communicated to or communicable to. So
I mean, like KCBR says, like I like the form factor of the level too. The slenderness works, right? It's not
yes.
bulky. I mean, the A5. I guess that's the negative of the A5. It's because you can place it anywhere and it doesn't topple over. It is quite bulky. It is quite big for what it is.
Yes.
That's depending on how you use it, that is either a pro or a con. And if you don't have an enormous bathroom, like I would never put an A5 in either of my bathrooms because they're not big enough for that.
Mm.
Like I can put a level on the wall, no problem.
Level or an emerge even is a better option than an A5.
Yeah,
I have an emerge in the bathroom, man, and I gotta say it sounds absolutely spectacular. I come from the M3 in one of my bathrooms in Calgary. This bathroom is a little bit smaller than the one I had in Calgary, but about the same size. Well, no, shower was about the same size. And M3 was much too boomy. I had to, you know, take the bass down and whatever. But with the Emerge, after the auto calibration has ran, it sounds without any correction to the sound or Beosonic. It sounds absolutely flawless in there. So I would suggest that. But then again, it depends, right? I think Emerge, especially as much as I hated the black one, depends on what your color scheme. If you have black accents like I have in the bathroom, the black Emerge just looks perfect for the place.
uh,
So
sorry, for some reason my internet is being weird, I think.
well, we're still connected, I think.
Yeah, but all of a sudden dropped some frames.
It's okay. We're not moving that much.
No, but with frame drops, you also have slight audio dips usually.
Mm.
Or at least it can occur. It's not necessarily true, but it's weird because the frame drops on YouTube are higher than the ones for Twitch
Interesting.
by like a margin of 50%.
Hmm.
So weird. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't yet already. Thank you.
Mm.
uh, do you ever hear anything about the DNA NFT thing? Do you even DNA? Do you even NFT?
Uh, Man, that thing is so far dead in the water and down the river washed that I don't even see it anymore as something viable. Are they coming up with another NFT nonsense?
I think they had another yearly NFT meeting. I think it was in New York or something.
Okay, what, like three guys showed up?
I have no idea, actually.
But no, I thought that was completely dead. I don't know if you can you do they even have these goofy things available? Who even owns it and for what?
Uh, because it's supposedly art that's on the blockchain, and blockchain
Oh
means
yeah,
investors jump on stocks because blockchain, right?
blockchain strong, bro. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about that anymore. I think it just died completely.
I mean, blockchain is a word like early 2000 American politicians when they said 9/11, right? It was always,
Hmm. Yeah, NFTs are dead. Just like Stefan says, I think that train has passed, left the station, and derailed down the street. Man, it's gone.
because apparently, yeah, B&O is still. You can buy like art of the actual for the actual product, and but you can also buy an A9 like virtually still.
For what? Same money?
No, it's like depending on the desirability. I think it's what was it? Half an Ethereum thing coin.
Oh shit, it's still like $1,000.
Yeah,
Because ETH is what now?
3,200 something like that.
Ethereum right now is, yeah, 3,100 bucks.
So yeah, I don't know either. I just was clicking through the website last night because I was being supremely lazy and stuff still happening and blah blah blah. And so I was like, I don't have a good, I don't have any creativity at the moment to make any good thumbnails. So I'm just taking a screenshot. It's like, wait, this is still a thing?
Yeah, I didn't know it was. Yeah, this NFT thing was, well, not a faux pas, but it was a train that came way too late to the station, at least a year behind of what the trend was back in the day for the NFTs. Why BNO stop producing the balanced aluminium? That's a good question for Danes, brother. I have no idea, but
Salty view.
probably what it could be that the amount of units sold versus the manufacturing process of getting that done is negligible, so they are done with it. Maybe the writing on the wall is for the balance because, quite honestly, the BioLab 8 is a pretty good competitor to it. Not standby, no, standalone, but I don't see balance being a core product for a long, long period of time. I think it's a boring product, look, and there's not much you can really do with it, color scheme wise. Like they've done the marble edition, then there was the oak, dark oak, the aluminium, and I think that's where the chapter closes on that speaker. So I don't know why just that one. Maybe that's just the start of it, and the rest will go and follow. But
But it's also not exactly cheap.
mhm. Comparative to let's say Beosound A9, I would go with the A9 versus the balance.
I mean, it's $3,400 for the aluminium one.
Yes. What's the regular one?
Uh, it was 3,150. So it's
So it's not that much of a step, but
no, but for a balance in and of itself, that's quite expensive, right? Personally, I still think they made the mistake of keeping the cloth silver. The cloth should have been this cloth from the black one.
yeah, I think so too. And that would have looked like a proper B&O speaker. But those cloths, I don't know, be hard to swap it.
It's also one of the older Mozart boards now because all the newer Mozart stuff doesn't have Google Assistant.
That's right.
I mean, if you're in the market for one now, buy it without Google Assistant, please.
Yeah.
Because Google makes everything worse. Because the line in is Google's.
Bluetooth is Google's, so you can't even pair the remote unless you do a Google Home setup with it. It's silly. It's the same with the Emerge. Well, I don't think anymore, but the one that I have is the 1.0 Mozart chip. I'm actually thinking if I could swap it, just order the 2.0 Mozart chip and just swap it if it's going to remove that nonsense from it, I wonder. Or it's a separate board that is Google's board.
One would think, since they promoted it as chip swappable, that it would be, right?
So I might venture down that avenue, but I think that my next purchase is going to be silver aluminum shells for the BeoLab 11. I'm going to buy them since they're still available. It's quite a bit of money, but I don't care. I want to have them silver. The black looks terrible. They just look terrible. Maybe I'll paint the black ones at some point. I'll airbrush them. Make a multicam.
I guess that works.
Or I don't know.
I mean,
Make it a tulip.
I still don't hate the balance. It's just, God, when it came out, it was $2,500, I think.
Yeah, I'm not hating on the balance. I just it's a great speaker, but to me, it's something that am I gonna really have a use case for it? Like if I were to stereo pair balances together, I would consider buying the BeoLab 8s and spending the extra cash on it, and it's got a nicer presentation and a much more cleaner sound. Yes, the bass is not as heavy as on the balance, obviously, but then its balance isn't as clean sounding as or a pair of balances isn't as clean sounding as the BeoLab 8s. 100%.
So apparently it's still a thing. I haven't looked on B&O's Discord in a bit. But you can still trade your NFT B&O pictures.
Where?
Through their Discord here, I guess.
No.
Something like that. OpenSea Marketplace? I don't know what that is.
The crazy 90s.
Yeah, but they're just pictures, right? Like,
yeah.
Like it would be something else if they were made in real life. But apparently this picture is $83.
Fuck's sakes.
Which I really don't understand, because I still remember reading the contract that you don't really ever own it, even, because somehow you still share copyright with the original artists.
Creators.
Which to me just means like you own a legitimate copy that you can't use or anything, so you don't own it.
What are you going to use that for? Make a wallpaper out of for your phone, really? Like that's about it.
What the hell is going on with my... Oh,
I know I see the circling the drain on the YouTubes as well. Then we are falling down.
I actually think it may be YouTube side.
That's it. They are on to us now, bro. Yeah, that's
well,
weird.
Because nothing has slowed down on my end. Normally I hear you robot or something, but you're crystal clear to me. So it may be YouTube's ingest server where like either there's something going on there, they're doing maintenance, or like it's under attack, or
another ship crashed into it. Fuck.
Well, because it's also not equal to what is happening on Twitch. Which is the weirdest thing, right? Because I would assume if it was my internet, it would be similar on both platforms.
Well, you would assume so, right?
Yeah. Because the quality going out to Twitch is almost exactly the same.
It's probably Trudeau's anti-whatever policy that are sifting now. So
maybe it's that you're Canadian and there's not enough Canadians on this show or something.
That's it. Come on, Canucks, tune in, bro. So yeah, that's I'm considering buying another Lego set. It's completely besides the point of topics here. but I just don't know where I would put it in my little apartment. But I might buy it. I want to buy that big Lego. What is it? The Technic Libra crane.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fucking 1 meter tall. Where do I put this? In here. So
Suspended from the ceiling somewhere.
I can just put it in the back. I don't know, man.
Put it on your table so you
debating
can
it.
use it every night, so it feeds you. So you just lay there going.
Just feed me Cheetos. But it's that, or I'm gonna buy the shells instead of the Lego set. At least I can put those on, and it's not too much space. Yeah, I played around with the music, with the sound settings again in the theater. It's funny how much. It's almost too much how much you can modify at some points. You know what I mean? It's not as simple as it used to be, and it makes it really tough and challenging in some houses when the acoustics are just terrible. But you play with that all the time. We're really jumpy on the YouTubes while looking at the feed from
Yeah,
here. I don't know if it's.
it seems fairly okay on Twitch still, so I don't know what's going on. Apparently the audio is still somewhat okay, so we'll
YouTube
see.
under
But
attack.
this is one of the reasons why I record stuff, because I remember early in the early days of this on YouTube that we had massive outages, and it wasn't
Oh yeah,
necessarily known to me, but YouTube would just shit the bed.
yeah. We haven't had that for a long time, so I'm kind of surprised that it's going on. But you
No,
never know.
well, I've recently changed offices and in this
Mm,
room, right? And I'm not hardwired to the router. So the last few times there were a few frames dropped, I thought well, maybe it's the Wi-Fi or something like that.
yeah,
Because I still at the moment only have one AP and it's kind of at the other side of the house.
yeah. You need to put one more, I think.
Yeah, but I also have the opportunity to just hardwire this room. I just
Oh,
have.
then wire it for sure. But I would still put an AP just to cover everything else that you have wireless in there,
Well, the
or
thing
the other
is,
side of the
my
house.
phone never hiccups here.
Mm,
It's also that my computer, like its built-in Wi-Fi on the motherboard is like that. Motherboard is what 2017 now, something
mm.
like that. So it's not like it's super modern or anything.
Yeah, hardwiring it is. I'm a big proponent of cables, even though sometimes they look ugly, man. Can't go wrong with the wire.
Same, but I just have to get round to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Well, you're almost finished the house, no?
crawling in the attic when it's 90 degrees
No,
Fahrenheit
that's not
outside.
possible, man. You gotta do that at night, more or less. Fuck. Like, there
Yeah.
is no way. In Florida, you're gonna die of a heat stroke before you make it through the second truss.
So
It's no fun.
there's that. I may try and put up another AP, but if I go by my phone and the what is it, the Wi-Fi man from Ubiquiti, the coverage
Mhm.
is 80, 90-ish% in this room, so it should be plenty with a 500 line.
It could be just the motherboard is tired as well.
Yeah, or stuff is getting hot. Who knows?
Casey Bear, I bought the Lego Superstar Destroyer. See, I'm not into the Star Wars. I've never been into the Star Wars sets. Like, they're cool, but I've never. I like the. I guess I like a very niche part of the Lego when it also comes to Technic, because they either have to have a motor or a pneumatic function. I don't buy them otherwise because I find them boring that way. But anything that has a motor or a pump on it, I'm spending my money. But also there's a level too, because I never bought the tow truck that was pneumatic from a few years back. So, but yeah, I like me some good old Technic.
I
It's
must
fun.
say, the Star Destroyer is really kind of cool, just of the sheer size of it.
Oh yeah. But that's the thing. Like these 18 plus sets now are getting so ridiculously huge. Like if you look at the Titanic set, fuck, like that's a 1.1 or something meter long set. Like you actually do need committed shelf space for it to be to even be able to afford to put it onto something. But
If you want to keep it built, yeah.
I don't take apart my Lego anymore. Build it once and on the shelf it goes, and then every now and then I get a little bit into the bourbon and I take it down, put batteries in, and I drive around my room. So yeah, the WAF factor would be very low on the Star Destroyer.
Suspended from the ceiling over your side of the bed.
My God, it comes down. Oh boy. But yeah.
I mean, other than that, buy a bigger house with an extra room for your Lego. I don't know.
Mm. Have you got around to plug in the BeoCore Connect into the 50s with the USB-C? I don't know.
No. She's way too busy doing other stuff and
Yeah,
taking care of things.
I haven't had a chance in the shop, but I really am keen on doing that. But I heard that there's a limited control. You can't switch between narrow and wide. So I don't know if you're doing the USB-C that way, then would it?
Not through the Connect core, right? But you can
Yeah,
do it through the
app.
50s. Yeah. But you're in the
Yeah.
app already, so you just have to switch device.
Mm,
Which is not the end of the world, but it's not very integrated. It's not like the number thing you get over
yeah,
PowerLink.
yeah, which is kind of weird that. Well, I guess it goes through the PowerLink communication. Wonder if you plugged in the PowerLink into it as well, if it would work. But I don't think so, because then it would take over the priority, which is PowerLink is number one. So then it would ignore the USB-C.
Yeah. Well, whichever priority you set, it will take that and just ignore whatever else is going
Yeah,
on.
yeah, but then would it take the volume and preset information from the PowerLink data? You know what I'm saying? That's
Well,
my
they're not
question.
fives, so I don't think so.
Mm.
I mean,
I guess the
fives
only other way
did
is to
that
do it
more or
with a
less,
link
right?
eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you put a link eye into the back of the 50s, then you can do the volume and the presets.
Or you can get a Halo and do it that way.
Mm-hmm. But
So,
yeah, the sound quality is significantly improved from the core to the new core. Let's just call it B or BCC. I really like the direction that they took, especially when you give it a proper speaker that has been configured with it or connected to it. So Marius is asking if the BeoLab 2. Yeah, you can trigger the BeoLab 2 with the core. The problem with we actually have a client that came in yesterday or Friday that bought the BeoConnect core for his 8000s and he wants to buy the 19. And I just gave him a temporary cables for now, but once we do that, I'm going to go there and basically splice 3 power links into one. Because it's a 19. If you got the lap 2, you could get away with running the core into the lap 2 input, and then 2 outs are for each speaker. So the crossover filters would be set by the BeoLab 2, and then you have the filter from 1, 2, and 3, which is 1 is for the BeoLab 1s, 2 is for the 8000s, and 3 is for the 4000s and 6000 size speakers. So that's so if you have lap 3s with it, put it to setting number 3 for the BeoLab 2, wall corner, whatever. That doesn't really make any difference, I don't think. I think you should set it to freestanding with the new rule, but I don't think that really makes any sense because you don't have any room compensation in the core. So I would leave the positioning switch correlated to the position of the speaker, and that's it. Source and trigger on it on through PowerLink. I'm not understanding exactly what you're asking, but
over PowerLink, any PowerLink speaker will always switch on if you switch it on.
yeah,
But
if
if you want to
PowerLink
feed it a signal from something else, it's kind of misplaced.
Let's say you had a Marantz receiver, then what I would do, on what I normally do, or you have to do rather, is you take the yellow and the braided shield out of the power link cable, and you attach those wires to plus and minus on the trigger of the amplifier. That way, when the amp turns on, the 12-volt trigger turns on. Therefore, the power link source or power link in the BeoLab 2 turns on. And I find it's much more reliable to do that versus having, running the line inputs into, let's say, 8,000, 6,000s, or BeoLab 18s and 19 or 17s. Because if there is a slight noise on the line, that speaker never turns off, because noise is still detected as signal. It doesn't care that it's crackle or whatever shit going on in there. It's signal. So if you have a little bit of noise on the line and you drive it through the power link trigger, it completely ignores it, because if the 5 volts are not present on the yellow pin, the speaker turns off, and it doesn't matter what crackle or noise and shit you got going on in it as far as the feed. So, and I did that for number of theaters that I had set up in my career over time, where I would always run all the speakers, power links into the back of the receiver, and then take all the yellow cables and braided shields out of all of them, and solder into a connector, mono 3 mil jack that plugs into the back of the receiver. Speakers turn on without any issues. But not my favorite way of doing it, but there are, I guess the logic behind it is from the salesman perspective. Like, if people want the B&O speaker experience, but they can't afford the full-on theater, let's say, or a Harmony, which is also a bigger pill to swallow cost-wise, then going with like a $1,200 Marantz receiver with the pre-outs, and maybe an RTI remote to control all the rest of the stuff with it, you were still within a much friendlier budget than going full on B&O. Now, I'm not, to each their own as far as the wallet goes, but it's not the most optimal setups or my favorites, but they do work, and they work flawlessly. But you just got to be careful with the cables and splices and so on and so forth in order for it to make work properly, so you have no buzz, no data leak, and blah blah blah, and shiitake mushrooms. But yeah, everything's doable. You just need to want to do it.
Was it this one? Oh. Shut up.
What happened?
YouTube started playing a bunch of music.
No.
Because I was looking at this Marantz, was it Denon A1H from Andrew Robinson reviewed that, and apparently this AVR with the software, the direct software, he says you kind of must buy, is like close to 8,000 USD.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea that receivers are this bloody expensive.
Oh yeah.
I mean, comparatively, it makes a theater look cheap, right, for what it does.
Yes. Plus, you're still having a copious amount of remotes, unless you have I can't even say Apple TV, because the CEC is fucked up on it now, so you have to control it with an IR.
Yeah.
But yeah. Mari says I have Marantz 5.1 pre-outs, yeah, with no trigger. Yeah, and I'm not saying that it's a wrong setup or it's not working, but to me, I would never do it with the line outputs. Yes, you still use the RCA cables as pre-outs coming out of the speaker, but in my way of installing it, I would have had those RCA spliced into the PL cables of each speaker, and then yellow and ground or braided shield come out of it, and then they trigger up. So what happens is, when you turn off your receiver, your speakers stay on for about 5 minutes before they cut off, unless you have buzz on the line, which I don't think you have if it works fine. But it also waits for the signal to come in. So if you have music playing, sometimes you lose the few seconds because the speaker's like, oh yeah, shit, the signal's coming and I gotta turn on. Where with the PowerLink trigger, it's on. It's just it works and behaves exactly like if you're running it off of a Beosystem 3, Beosystem 4, or any B&O TV for that matter, or any product from
So
B&O
that's
that
it for
has a
me.
PowerLink out. So, but that's the most ideal way to do it is with the trigger outputs. Some installers don't like to do that because they are scared of splicing cables and may have a negative experience prior to it, and they've sworn themselves that they'll never do it again. But I think that's just more or less the lack of experience and fear of doing something properly, because it's more difficult than doing it the easy way. But that's it.
Yeah, you have to be willing to solder, essentially. And
willing to solder and follow all the the Masterlink handbook is a very good. Our BeoLink handbook is a very, very good piece of literature that, in my opinion, every technician and installer should have at least read once. Best 155 pages that I had ever read, to be honest. And they answer a lot of questions and setups. And yes, they're more or less Masterlink setups, which is a dead system. But just because the system's dead by B&O, it's not dead by clients. And we still come across a lot of ML products that are still trying to be part of it. So
apparently the basic Denon AH1 is $6,500 ex sales tax, and then you need the rack for like 1,000 on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is then locked into your AVR as well. Like, it's not transferable.
MM is asking, what's the best way to use BeoLab5s with an AVR? I was considering a Meridian processor to get digital SPDIF outs.
Not for surround sound, not SPDIF, for surround into the fives. That first of all, that just doesn't work when everything else is analog, because you get
delays,
non-volume controlled.
Yeah,
well, essentially,
one.
Even if you were to be able to do that, right, you would have to have a volume remote for your fives and then a volume remote for everything else attached.
Yes, because you have to have the BeoLab 5s and a link option, and then you can control the volume of them, which then introduces an imbalance, because how loud is all the rest of the speakers versus what your volume is internally on the Lab 5s. You are gonna fight a constant battle with that. The Lab 5s were never a great idea or a good idea at all to run with the third-party receivers. It can be done, but then you kind of you're not doing it through SPDIF. You're going to be running it through a line input, and then you are going to be controlling it with either an RTI remote, so then the volume level information is equally or it's equalized, and everything steps up by volume notches the same. But it is a bad idea. It is a bad idea if you're thinking of doing that with the fives.
Yeah, just could do analog and you'll be okay. And the difference is not that enormous.
No.
And if you want to have that pinpoint, use a second source. Because there's no way of doing this really. And I've seen this more often recently, and I don't know what started it, but everybody wants to now feed everything digitally. And it makes no sense, because it's not like an analog signal is good or bad, or like the technique of the signal itself is neither here nor there. It's like, is the signal of quality, because digital can also still be shit.
Yeah. It really depends on the file, you know what I mean? You can have a high-res streamer and push in a 320 or 128 kilobyte MP3. It's still gonna sound like a pile of garbage compared to a FLAC file of the same of the same song per se. It's just going to be two different sounds, regardless of what you're using. It's just if you have poor source quality, no matter what you have, the better the system, the worse you'll be end up the worse you'll end up at, because that system really exposes how low bitrate quality sounds like.
I mean, the digital versus analog, right? It's a transport method. It's like saying my car is better because it's electric. And it's like if you compare like a BMW 7 Series to like a Model 3 Tesla, right? Is that true?
Mm.
Not really. So I don't know where these connotations come from because like if digital was the absolute shit, right? Like people would have to drop vinyl like instantly.
Mm.
The fives are fronts for home theater setup. Yeah, don't do it. Do analog. Don't try and faff around with this. For your 2.0 dedicated listening, you can go digital, sure, but not in surround. That's going to be a pain in the ass.
I would, if I were to do it with the lap fives, honestly, I would kind of stay away, but I haven't tried it because it needs data. So the problem is, can you, I'm sure you can trigger the lap five out of a receiver. I just don't know the behavior because I've never really played with it. We've had few systems that were going to go that way in the yesteryears of time that I remember. But at the end, people still ended up with the Biosystem 3 because it just made way more sense than going for that. And at the end of the day, I guess if you're in the market for lap fives, you kind of are in the territory that you can't spend the proper money on driving them and controlling them per se. So yeah, I'm not a biggest fan of the fives are very peculiar speaker when it comes to third party driving them. Very peculiar speaker, and it's the worst speaker to deal with that. So
I would go line in
that's it.
analog from your AVR.
That's the best way to do it, man. I wouldn't even piss around with anything else because the SPDIF in that speaker was basically co-developed for being able to pull digital sound out of the Beosound 9000, and the data in that full 8-pin DIN plug or the power link, the data is what controls the actual volume of the speaker, not
Yes.
not the strength of the signal that's coming in through PL, because it's ignoring that because it's going through the SPDIF. Yes, the signal volume is controlled on the power link when you're listening to the AM/FM radio and auxiliary source from the 9000. But if it's an SPDIF going to the lap fives, the power link controls the volume, and the zeros and ones are made into the sound inside the BeoLab 5 itself.
Yeah, and I don't see how you can do that with any third party AVR at all.
The best way to do it is Almando box, bro.
Yeah,
That
but
is
even then, you're
the
not going to get the signal there digitally.
no,
It's going to
no,
be
it's still power
PL
link.
still.
Yes.
So you're going to have to essentially run an Almando box just to control the fives and then somehow split out your digital front left and front right only and put that into SPDIF and then have everything else be analog. This is going to be, look, it's not undoable, but you're going to pay through the nose and it's going to be a pain in the ass because you're going to be dealing with 3, if not 4 remotes.
Yes, if you put a core between it, you disable the delay inside the core settings, and you run and you still run line into the core. Yes, it'll trigger the speakers, and then you put the power link from the core to set volume, so the line so the volume of the lap fives will be controlling by the variable line input from whatever AVR you're going to. But that's just introducing more problems to the solution, in my opinion. It is doable because I had seen setups. We've had done setups like that where you driving in that fashion. But man, son of a bitch with the fives. It's not like I said, it's not the laughter dies on those speakers when you're trying to do third party nonsense with them, because the originally how the B&O had saw those speakers being sold, other than or outside of the Bang & Olufsen sandbox per se, was you're never running them in a surround mode. You're running them off of whatever high end AVR pre-out outputs that you have on your 2-channel system, but they were never meant to be a part of the surround system in a third party environment. I look about 10 years older. I know. It's the
It feels
stress
like
of
we've
every
been
day.
doing it for 10 years.
It's been a while. You must have been watching some first episodes when I still had dark hair. Yeah, we're all getting older every minute, bro. So
No,
yeah,
I don't understand this obsession with having to do a digital. I wouldn't even do it with 50s if you didn't have a BeoVision of some kind. Like, this makes no sense. Like, because you're gonna have. You're also assuming that the volume ranges of your AVR and fives match, right?
assuming that, yes.
That if you go one tick up, 1% up in volume on your fives digitally, that it's going to be the same for all your other speakers, which most
That
likely
may not
is,
be B&O. No, it's not gonna be.
because B&O is kind of progressive, right? Like the last few clicks make a much bigger difference than the middle ones.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I would not. I wouldn't go that way.
It's
I
so,
just wouldn't.
yeah, same, same. I don't understand. I don't understand this digital. I mean, if you
The
want to keep it
fad.
digital, then have everything be digital. But even that, it makes kind of no sense because everything has to be active at that point.
Mhm.
I mean, even with 50s, right? It makes no sense.
No.
I mean, also,
Well, I think with 50s, it's even 50s and 90s. I think it's even more difficult because there's the amount of time that is taken by the processing. Even if you put it uh, to the low processing from auto or high, right?
Mhm.
You're still delayed audibly considerably enough that it's bothersome to the rest of the speakers that are. And how do you compensate that? Do you then compensate that by adding copious amount of distance for your effect channels, so in order for the time delay to hit, for the sound to hit you at the right point at the right time? So that's one of those things that I don't I, I would really highly advise against it. That's just my personal opinion. I really haven't been around B&O that much, so I wouldn't know. But I would highly recommend
Really, you
against it.
don't know?
I don't know.
I bet you if you go lifting up your couch cushion, you probably have a manual in your couch somewhere.
Yeah, that's true.
The digital thing was because I've been told the BeoLab 5 is the best sound digitally. I'm open to any method of making it play nice with in an Atmos setup. Yeah, then analog.
Go
Absolutely
analog, man.
analog. If you want Atmos, go analog. If you want, so I don't
Put
know
it this
who's.
way: if you're gonna buy any AVR that you have right now, I fucking guarantee you it's not from 2003. That's where those DACs were. Well, prior to that, because in 2003 is when the Lab 5 came out. So those DACs are probably 1 to 2 years prior to its release when they started the design of that speaker. So you're looking at a DAC that has been inside this thing for 20 years versus something that has been evolved digitally and acoustically and perfected for 2 decades. So if you get yourself, let's say, a Marantz AVR from 2024, and you run it analog outputs into the speaker, bypassing the DACs inside the fives, they cannot sound better than the new modern DACs inside the new AVRs. I just don't believe that. So
No, also
yes, the
the
fives do sound the best with SPDIF when you connect them to the 9000 or a Beosound 5. That's what they were meant for. If you run them with anything else as far as the SPDIF, you're in a hurt uh, for control issues, and it's just, there are ways to control it, but there's nothing that ruins the speaker's look, in my opinion, more than sticking an IR flasher below the bottom of the mid-range platter.
yeah, just go analog pre-out. It makes no sense to do it otherwise, especially for movies.
Hmm.
Like, may a 5 sound better over digital for music in a 2.0 setup? Maybe. But if you want an Atmos setup, the only way, if you even can go digital and make it any way usable, your ceiling speakers are going to have to be 5s. Your rear speakers are going to have to be 5s. They're going to have to all match and all be digital the same way. Because if I'm remembering right, the 5s also have this weird, was it 88 kilohertz maximum resolution on the digital side,
Hmm.
which is like an odd setting that no longer really exists because it's kind of old, right? Like you
Yep.
you can oversample for 5s, and then you get this weird clicking sound. So analog, they don't sound bad on analog.
No, they don't.
They sound fantastic. They sounded great. You most likely heard them on analog, and you thought, "Wow, I must have those." And most people think that.
Well, I would say 90% of the time that you had heard the fives in any dealer's shop, they played analog
Yeah.
because they were connected to either Biosystem 3 or a 9000 or a Biosystem 4. Because usually those speakers would be in a theater back at, and when the old shops used to have the theater room. That's where we had our lap fives, and they were always ran analog, man. They were ran power links into them all the time. Like I've done setups with the 90s and a Biosystem 3 and kind of hanky panky, salvaging the Biosystem 3 out of a dead BV9 and using that and stripping the HDMI audio signal to feed it into the bloody Biosystem 3, and it's ran through a Control 4 system because there's got to be something that does HDMI switching properly. There was a projector mixed into it, and at the end of the day, that's why my hair went fucking gray, bro, because it's just ridiculous amount of headache that you got to go through to make sure that everything is programmed right, everything triggers properly, the delays are correctly set, because if something triggers before something, there's an issue with an HDMI handshake, and all of a sudden you don't get sound, but you just get the picture, and it's not worth the headache at all. So
Just look the Cinema 30s and AVR that starts at like 4.5 grand.
mm,
Why not just buy a theater at that point? Because you get your center channel, you get everything handled correctly, you get it integrated.
exactly.
You almost get the same channel out, but are you really going to put 11.4 out? Also, an, they're not essentially discrete channels because like the source material is still only what 8 channels, and it's an upscaler. It's just
Hmm.
how far can your upscaler upscale?
That's right.
I mean, so this is what 15 channels, so it's 15 amps, but like the theater does 7.1.4. Is that really not enough speakers? And that's coming from me, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't know. But yeah, that's I don't know. I would stay away from it. I'm not, to each their own. Everybody likes a different amount of salt on their steak, but to me, this is a bad meal. Mixing
Or
fives
you're
with.
just creating headaches.
Mm,
Whenever you turn the TV, whatever, on or off, you're gonna have to. turn other stuff on and hope that, like, pray to God it all works together correctly.
We got ourselves a troll.
Yeah, wait, I'm open to a theater, but already have. Well, you can add third-party speakers to a theater. Just wanted to add fives to make it 9.2. Well, first of all, if you have BeoLab 5s, you don't need any subwoofers anymore.
Not necessarily at all, yeah.
I mean, I guess you can, but it's kind of like, why? Because you have two massive 1000-watt 15-inch drivers, right, up front. Which are essentially two subwoofers. Because it's a four-way speaker. So if you're going this route, I would drastically reconsider or like do a rebuild of some sort or sell some stuff off or
If you like, put it this way, if I were to do it, I don't know what other speakers you have in the system, but I would go with the theater. If I have, if you got 4 in ceiling speakers for your Atmos thing, buy 2 passive kits or NLMCL or MLMCL converters on Facebook Marketplace for $50. Run a power link into each. You have two 60-watt channels coming out to the ceiling speakers, which you'll never use more than that. I can swear to you and promise you that. And if you have bigger speakers at the back, I would go with the Beoamp 2.
which you can
It's a
also
little more
power
money.
link into.
And you can power link into all of it. Everything triggers properly. And as far as the setup, I would lie to the theater and I would put the in ceiling speakers as Beovox ones. I find they sound better than when you set it to other for some reason. And I had heard them with Canton in ceilings and Bowers and Wilkins in ceilings. Bowers and Wilkins, hands down, are the best speakers that we sell in. We haven't really gotten into the Celestial and all that stuff. So it's the way to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can put the third party speakers into the theater, preferably with the power link. There is no other way to run them into another receiver. That creates a lot of headache. I would highly recommend just buy like I said, if you're on a budget or don't really care for the rear channels and so on, just go with buy a couple passive kits, man, run the speakers off of them from the ceilings and effect. The 5s and the theater at the front will take care of a lot.
Your house will be shaking.
Yeah.
Even if it's concrete.
Exactly. So the subs that
I hope you don't live in an
less,
apartment because like your neighbors are not going to be happy.
The only I would keep, if you have 2 subs, I would keep one and I would move it to the back of the room to help out the effect channels. Because with theater, it's a little more you're a little more free to set up things, where in a Biosystem 3 and 4 per se, Biosystem 4 was already a little more intelligent than the 3, but in a Biosystem 3, as soon as it detected or you said that you had BeoLab 5s in the system, it literally pushed 0 bass into the BeoLab 2, regardless of where you put it or how you would set it and whatever else have you. It's just the way that was programmed, where you don't have that setback anymore with the theater. So you can just, and I'm a big proponent of having a rear subwoofer for the theater, because the front is very powerful as it is already on its own.
Still, if you have 5s or 50s up front, this rear sub is doing very little. I can
but you can make it do a lot. You can make it do a lot, but yeah, with the 50s and 5s, yes, I agree. It's it's a way more of a different topic in my scenario, where I'd only have in this setup here where I live now a set of 18s in the back.
Because I had a 19 in the back and 50s up front, right? And it did occasionally do a little bit, but it was pretty unnoticeable compared to just having 17s there.
Yes.
I mean, maybe my neighbors at the time heard it more than I did.
But yeah, that's the string theory, I guess, for the bass extension works really well when you have smaller speakers. With the fives, that's I've done a setup the other week where we replaced the old Beosystem 3 with I don't know whatever the Panasonic Pioneer Elite I think was the TV that he had, and we put the theater on with the G3 panel on it and fives at the front, and we added 18s in the back. Oh, dude, it sounded insane for and especially to him it sounded crazy because first of all you're basically listening to the new sound of your Beolab 5s because they're tuned up to 10,000 hertz now with the theater's help.
Yeah.
So they sound completely different to what they used to sound like on the Beosystem 3. And now you add the back, the Lab 18s, which were on the Y side, that doesn't make any difference. It just sounded, you don't need much. You don't need the sub at the back. And it sounds great. It sounds absolutely great. So, and also you have the unified experience of one remote control
You're
where
not faffing around with volume control and data for like
and just
the
headaching
fives.
stuff around it's just it all just turns on, it works, it's set, it's tuned, it fucking no problems. So
Don't get me wrong, I love fives, but they're one of the most headache-inducing speakers if you go outside of the normal B&O systems,
mhm.
because they're so technologically advanced for the age they came from.
Well, they were way ahead of their time back in 2003,
Yeah,
right? Because there was nothing that tuned itself. Quite honestly, there was no speaker that tuned itself all the way up to till the 90s really came out, not just from B&O, but like I don't know of any other speaker system that does this. And yes, you can have your system tuned by third party equipment, but that's not something that is built inside the speaker as a feature, which now we take for granted because it's set in everything from B&O that does the room compensation.
even levels and A5s and stuff.
Yeah, so it trickled down all the way from the flagship to the lowest of the smallest, and I'd highly recommend. At the end of the day, if you buy an AVR, I don't think that
Well, especially an
the
upscale AVR, right? Those
yeah.
are fucking expensive.
Yeah, but I don't think that there's just as much fun out of that as it is from like a black box as it is from the theater. First of all, you're hiding that box. You're never looking at it. So you bought yourself a very pricey piece of electronics that your main goal is to hide away from view.
Yeah.
Where with the theater, all the electronics are exposed in a beautiful shell, more or less. It's all encased, and it's a very very nice product to look at, and everything is built in, and it's powerful as fuck. It you can't go wrong, and it's something that in my opinion you'll probably change an AVR more often than you would change the theater,
Oh,
despite
for
the cost
sure.
difference
For
despite the
sure.
cost difference because a lot of people that have the AVRs, it's you're always chasing that red dragon, I guess, of what's the better performance, and it's a spec reading or a spec contest.
Yeah.
So by Sandeep's theater. But yeah, I think the theater itself is it is the best product that they had come up in the last decade by far. It is the best product they had come up in the last decade, and just the versatility of it is it's a no-brainer to go and quite honestly the only thing that you'll be swapping is the screen over in the next 5 years when the G I don't know 10 panel comes out or whatever. But I don't know. You're also on a BeoTalk, so we're not going to tell you to buy a Marantz and hook up all this shit to it. It's
Well, you're also talking about buying fives and hooking them up.
so
Look,
I would go the other way.
if I have a friend in Finland, right, and he doesn't really do BioVisions, but for the same reason, like he has two cinema, well, movie watching areas in his house. In the upper level, it's 50s with a bunch of other B&O speakers, but it's all B&O, right? And
Mm,
downstairs, I think he has three sets of fives. Like, and it's like front, wide, rear, or surround and rear, right? So,
yeah.
but it's a hobby for him to essentially avoid the B&O side of TVs, but it's not easy.
No. No.
It's
But yeah, if I were to do now, if I were to do setup,
also, again, it's not digital, it's still analog what you
exactly.
use. Like
No, I would stick to the theater idea for sure. And if it's a 2-channel setup, the new BeoConnect core, you cannot go wrong with at all.
no. And it's
At all.
excellent for connecting any B&O TV or speaker to a TV.
Yes. So I would, yeah, I don't know, sleep on it, but I would recommend you dream of a theater instead of an AVR of some sorts, and then break your head over how to connect it properly so it doesn't buzz or it turns off properly or turns on properly and the volumes are correct, and the grocery list of bad shit that can go sideways with that kind of a setup is not endless, but it's fairly long. And I would even do it, man. With the Biosystem 3, for God's sakes, if that
Yeah,
was
but
the leastest option.
I think, as a lot of people now, the main goal is Atmos.
Yes, that's the buzzword. So
if you want the Atmos, then you're gonna have to. You're not doing any of it.
That's right. And like Lucas said, did they bring the new lease of life on old speakers? They do. The way that they tune them, they sound amazing. Old speakers sound amazing. I thought I knew what the fives could sound like properly, but when last Friday or this Friday, I was proven wrong. When played the same song, I had the same test as I did here in my house with the 18s. I had the core and the connect core, and I just hot swapped the power link from one to the other as the same song was playing because I joined one core to the other. So volume the same, track the same. Go from one to the other. It's like literally taking the cotton out of your ears. How much more definition, clarity, more presence there is with the new BeoConnect core versus the old core, which I thought sounded great to begin with. But they just made it much better.
Neither here nor there about a core. It sounded the same as a BeoVision to me, mostly.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. The moral of the story is stick to the B&O. If you especially with fives, I wouldn't really wander outside of the tall walls of the BeoLab 5 sandbox and what they play and
it's just because they're
work
fives.
good with.
The fives are fives, and the fives are a pain in the ass. Everything else has
workarounds
and reach arounds and whatever, but the fives are fives, and they're hard.
Fives just have fuck arounds, and those are no good. So
yeah.
I would stay away. That's the moral of the story for this podcast.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to call this for today. Come join our Discord if you haven't yet already. If you want to see more of the silly B&O leaks that are, I don't know, okay to show because they like it. So, B&O, what the hell. Anyway.
We'll have more details next week for the...
Go talk to your dealer about this mere, like, frivolous 50, 70, whatever grand set. Sure, you want one. Anyway.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.